Hello, today is June 23rd, day 12, I think, um, which is kind of exciting. Um, I'm thinking a couple things today. One, I'm feeling pretty good about all of this. I guess like being consistent and making these logs. I think I've said this before, but I am continuing to enjoy this process, which is nice. It's like that, like removing that pressure of like having to have some kind of input and not really like minding so much like actually like what the result of it is. um, Literally shouting into the void. So if you are here listening with me today, thank you, thank you, and welcome. Today, the other thing that I was thinking is I'm preparing for the launch. I have a launch calendar for to promote, I guess, to introduce Haizhen, to create a launch plan for the Haizhen transformation, this whole process. And I was thinking, like looking at it, I had a moment of like looking outside again for like external validation. Like, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, what's the quote unquote right thing to do? And it's the theme that keeps coming up is like the answer is not outside. There's nothing outside that's going to give me the right answer. There are a lot of answers outside. There's like all sorts of things. Like there's TikToks and YouTube videos and Instagram posts, I'm sure, that I could find that says like this is the way to do it. This is what you have to do to launch a program. This is the things that are successful. And I think a lot of those tips are very valid. And at the same time that they sometimes don't kind of like resonate in the right way. And in some ways there's a fear or a concern that if I go through and follow those things, number one, it won't be aligned with my rhythm. And number two, even if I do all of those right things, it's like, what if it still doesn't work? Like those kinds of questions kind of like creep up in the back. And I think it's kind of like unconsciously, if I were to reflect on it, it's something that kind of like bubbles beneath the surface and just kind of stops me before I begin. If I were to allow those things to take over those intrusive thoughts. So preparing for the launch, it's like there's so many options and everybody's saying something different. And I had the realization, I had the realization today that it's actually my decision to make. I have to make the decision. I have a wonderful business coach, Crystal, that is helping me along the way and guiding me, and that's been really helpful to focus. Right, like I have a great launch calendar that I can look at and fill out, and sometimes I'm pausing and thinking like, do I need to like make a plan and then have it validated by someone else? Like, should I be checking in with someone? Um, and I'm looking at this calendar and it's like it's completely open. Like I could literally make it anything that I want. So I've come to the realization that something, especially like this, is mine to make. I'm trying. It's funny because like this program that I'm putting together is about like expressing yourself, expressing your core essence, expressing yourself in the deepest alignment. And I think that this is going to be an interesting process for me because like the work that I've done personally using this method of transformation, this method of these principles of how to like move through life and interact with other people. Um, it's become kind of like innate and grounded within myself, like something real that I can embody. And when I'm living like my day-to-day life, having interactions with people and in most spaces, I can understand that I know I can feel when I'm in alignment. And then when I come to something like this, which is something new, like making, it's like doing something new, getting out on social media, putting together a business, putting together um, a program of transformation that I know it has impact for others, and at the same time, uh, getting that message out there in all these different ways, it's almost like learning a new language. Like, how do I speak the language of YouTube? How do I speak the language of Instagram? How do I speak the language of TikTok or whatever other social media um, kind of posts that goes out? Not to even mention LinkedIn. Like, LinkedIn is something that I'm kind of like always pausing to consider of like, it's this quote unquote professional network. So then what is appropriate for that space? And I'm thinking like even like sitting in a tank top, right? Like, is this something that's like professional? Um, and even reflecting on that, I know that in the past I've posted a couple videos on LinkedIn where I made videos and I'm like sitting in a tank top, and I think at that time I didn't really care, and I still got good responses from it. So it's funny, those old frequencies, those old vibrations of like the thoughts, the intrusive thoughts, or the limiting beliefs of like having to show up in a certain space in a certain way, thinking that to be professional I need to have like a collar and a jacket or whatever else. Um, Thinking about like even for my program, like this is a program that I want to put together, that I want to have it accessible so that the most number of people can utilize it. And at the same time, for the people that are seeking the deepest transformation, not only on a personal level, but on a relational level, on a professional level, on a leadership level, um, in so many different spaces. Um, like it, this is something that I guess you would call it like a high ticket program, because I know that the change that goes through can be like so impactful, and that there's so much value on it. And it's like, if I show up in something like this, will that take away from my message? And like, I'm looking out at other people who have promoted things, and they say that they run like 6 or 7 figure programs, and some of them do show up kind of like this, like digital marketers and things like that. So I think that maybe I just need to get over myself and get out there, because like this is it's really fitting for my the program, because it's about your authenticity. It's about finding your authenticity. It's about revealing your authenticity and then acting from it, embodying it. So getting clear on what that means, feeling it, and then embracing it and expanding from there. So to show up in a space, to create something, it's like, in your personal life, to take ownership of the decision making is something that is so important. And in the same way, like creating this, like it's like the same lesson. It's like I have to realize that I need to take ownership of this process of putting together the videos, the promotions, and all of this in a way that resonates with me, not in a salesy way of saying like, the usual types of like, hey, like if you have this problem, then your life must be really difficult, and I have this easy solution for you. And even though like that's the gist of it, like honestly, this is something that you could pick up and utilize. I could tell you exactly what you need to do for yourself, this personalized program, this personalized strategy that you could utilize um, to start moving in alignment. And I know that the difficulty that like how difficult it can be to like um, to allow yourself to move in that way that's different from how you moved before. And I think that kind of like resonates with me in this moment of like, I've not done something like this to promote a program, to start a business, to start a program, to start really what I want to start and create is a community, a guild of fully aligned people operating from their authenticity. And my belief is that being the same doesn't mean that we are exactly the same cookie cutter physically and physically the same, mentally, like thinking the same types of things. I believe that we have unity through diversity, which means the thing that makes us the same is when we operate from our authentic selves. And that's the frequency that resonates. So I my aim is to show up now in the most authentic way that I can, whether it's like on a hot day like today and I'm sitting in one of my favorite tank tops, that I can still show up in a way that might resonate with people and to trust in that. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't. I mean, like, what difference would it make? Like, I've made, I'm going to guess that I probably made like hundreds of videos at this point in various different forms over the last 6 years, 7 years. And some have gotten views, some have gotten no views, and, some have resonated. And like, I won't know at this point, like making this thing, like, it's not guaranteed whether like this video will reach people and if it will resonate, if the message will resonate with people. But what I do know is the guaranteed way to fail is to actually do nothing and to keep all of this in the box and not to put anything out there. I mean, like, if this is like something and people are like, hey, like you shouldn't be doing this or you shouldn't be doing that and you really need to do it in this way or that way. I mean, like, people will probably say that anyways about various things. Like, everybody has their own opinions, and some people may like this and some people may not. And I need to be okay with it. I think sometimes the things that the the loudest voices often express displeasure. And when things are going well, we don't often say things. And it's like really the shift. This whole series started on TikTok, and the idea for starting this 90-day daily log series started on TikTok. I got it from a video that I saw, and this other thing on TikTok that I saw was like about, well, lost my train of thought. So forget it. If it comes back, then I'll let you know. And if it doesn't, then we'll keep on going. The one thing that I do want to say is that I am recognizing that I exist. I'm here right now. And I can and will take up the space that I need to take. I have to remember that whether, like, my worth is not measured in likes and shares and all of that. So I hope that if you are finding yourself listening to this message, that you can get something valuable out of it, to watch me struggle through all of this. And that's one of the interesting things. It's actually one of the things, it's actually one of the channels. So in human design, there are channels that connect energy centers. And the channel that I have, one of them, is the channel of struggle, which basically means that for my personal experience, it's natural to struggle through things, which doesn't mean like get stuck and like have difficulty with things. It's kind of like the experiences of struggle as I'm doing things. And maybe that's like something to align myself with, of like understanding that if I'm struggling, I know what is important to work through. And this definitely feels like one of those things. I guess what I wanted to say there was like that reading about that channel in my body graph or human design report, the very first report that I got, was actually very impactful, because that was the little description that kind of made me pause and say like, this is like one of the this description of my experience was so deep that I couldn't believe that I was reading something that resonated so deeply that I could never articulate, that I hadn't articulated into words up until that point. And yet, from my date of birth, from my place of birth, or from my time of birth, it was just right there on the paper. So I thought that was so amazing. It was so impactful and kind of started me down this whole path. So all I know, what I do know, is that my intention is set to put this message out there, to connect with the people that it resonates with, to build up a community of people who are resonating and working from their core essence, to create a community of connection, of togetherness, of diversity and unity. So that's, have I introduced this yet? I guess this is the first time that I will be introducing the idea of the Haizhen Guild. The Haizhen Guild is the community of people who come into my sphere. So uh, coming into this, it's like membership is very, very open, easy to get into, and I'll be sharing more about that. And I was really thinking about ways of creating access to the information, the teachings, the knowledge that I have to share, um, because I think that it definitely helps on all levels. So I'm not necessarily, I'm not going to articulate that here in this video, um, but the idea is really that there's something for everyone. It's actually interesting to kind of think of how to craft a program that's accessible to many people in many different ways, and doing it in a way that's not like, hey, like I'm just trying to make a buck off of you. I don't, that's one of the struggles that I have actually, is like pricing and accepting value and money for the services that I know that I can render, the change or the value that I can provide to you. And I think I came up with something that I really like, and I hope that it's not super confusing. So maybe this will be one of the places where I can like throw it out there and get some feedback on. So when I do make that video, and if I do send it to you directly, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Finally, the last thing is this thought of like being too much. Like I felt that in different spaces, and I think that kind of like speaks to the projector energy, because like the projector aura is focused and penetrating, which often means that like when I engage with people in conversations, I could go too deep too fast and be perceived as too much. And part of that is to remember that it's not necessarily that I'm maybe I am being too much in the moment, and like I might need to ease off. And at the same time, it's not that I am too much like as an identity, or as like a default mode. It's just in that moment, it's not what the people around me, the people that I'm interacting with, really need in that moment. So it kind of comes back to that theme of like having a negative perception of how I exist in this world, is not something that's going to hold me back, because I know that, and it's something that I have to remind myself of from time to time, is that even if I have, say, negative feedback about something, it doesn't change my inherent worthiness, my inherent enoughness. It's just, it wasn't right for that time. And I can accept that. I have to accept that, because it's another person's opinion of their experience. And I'm good with that. I will take that, and also remember that there are many people that I have encountered, that I have worked with, that I have had the opportunity of sharing this knowledge with, um, that have really benefited from it. So more than anything, it's a reminder to myself. Oh, so thanks for being here. If you've made it all this way and you've been following along, thank you. If you've made it all this way and you still have not seen your own human design chart, please check it out. There's a link in the description, as well as the bio, and in various different places. Please follow along. It would be really cool to have you along. Join the guild. We're not a cult. And I'll see you tomorrow.